Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm trying a different kind of video and I'm gonna be bringing you behind the scenes of the album production. Right now we are in a stage where we are doing the pre-production, which means we're basically doing a glorified version of a demo. So what we're doing is we are finalizing all the arrangements and what the instruments are gonna be playing, because we're starting usually when we write music with a more rough sketch. And right now we're kind of making it more closer and closer basically to what the song is gonna actually sound like in the end. We still have a lot of work to do on a lot of these songs, and today I'm gonna be tackling Autumn's Heart, which is one of the songs that I'm hoping that will get into the album. The way that we're working right now is we have 14 tracks that are being worked on, but we don't know yet if all of those tracks are going to make it to the final album or not. There's probably going to be some selection. Autumn's Heart is a song that I wrote many years ago, and I had basically a really good structure for it, but there's tons of details that need to be worked on, and we started to do a lot of work on it. We actually recorded real guitars, because when I write, I actually write with MIDI guitars, which don't sound really good. And we recorded a real bass, and we reworked all of the drum parts, but there's a lot of work that needs to be put into the harp arrangements and the orchestra, and I kind of want to guide you through the work that I will be doing maybe today or in the next couple of days to bring that song to the next level, basically, because so many things need to still be worked on. Alright, so I'm going to be showing you my screen, and I'm going to kind of guide you through some of the parts in the song that I think will need a lot of work, and that's going to kind of give you an overview of what the song sounds like. Keep in mind that all that's been recorded so far is only there as a placeholder for now, so the vocals are not the final vocals. The harmonies might also change. I don't remember if this one actually has some. And the guitars are just we're trying out ideas, and the drums will probably change, but the core of the song, the chords and the general idea of the arrangements should still sound pretty much the same. Hey, editing Elvann here. I completely forgot to mention in the video that the track that I'm working on, Autumn's Heart, will be made available for all of my patrons to download this month. It's not going to be the final version, of course, because clearly this song is in the process of being worked on, but I will put the demo version of it so you guys can listen to it from beginning to end instead of like small parts if you're interested. So if you want to hear it entirely, you can go and join my Patreon supporters. I will leave the link in the description box down below. Back to the video. Let's jump and show you what the session looks like. Alright, so this is my Pro Tools session. As you can see, I also have a whole list of things that need to be worked on, and I'm gonna try to go through some of them and show you some examples of what I think is going to be changing. The first thing that I have written down for this song is some of the violin parts. The pattern is going so quick that I might actually end up having to hire either a real violinist or double those parts on the guitar so they sound actually real. I'm gonna show you the violin part that I'm talking about, and that's gonna give you a bit of an idea what I mean. As you can see, it does sound like a violin. It's not completely awful, but I think that if it was doubled on the lead guitar, it would have a little bit more substance to it. Now I have a very similar section that's a bit later in the song that doesn't have all the bands, so we have kind of a breakdown section or something, and I don't know if the guitar will be able to go there because it might end up being a bit too much. Right now, I feel like it sounds a little bit fake. It doesn't sound like fully how I want it to, and I don't know if in a place like this, having the guitar as the lead will actually work, because it's so empty and the guitar takes so much space. But we're gonna try it. That's gonna be one of our next step with the song, is trying to play those parts on the lead guitar. If it doesn't work, or if we feel that it only works for a certain part of the song, we might end up just going and hiring a violinist to play those parts, or maybe another instrument. We'll see how that goes. The next part we're going to be working on for this song is the whole ending, because as you can see from here, this is the the reference vocals right here. There's not a lot of vocals here, so it's all instrumental, but I think this whole part is only the same theme section that we just listened to that's repeating. And for that reason, we think that there might be some space for having a guitar solo that's not written. I'm not going to play that part because it's long, and also we just heard the section that I'm talking about. But this is maybe something that we're going to try out. Maybe we're going to remove that violin part and kind of just insert a guitar solo. And I think that might be also really fun to have something new into the song. We'll see how that goes. The next part is I'm gonna be redoing the harp arrangements pretty much from scratch on this song. I think that when I wrote this song, I put some harp there, but I didn't have any specific ideas of what I wanted. And right now I have some cool parts with the harp, but they feel kind of incomplete. They are sometimes just playing one note. And I kind of want to make the harp a bigger part of my songs in general. But it's really a challenge to write harp in a metal arrangement because there's already so much stuff going on, and I want the harp to kind of be something that is not too background also. I want to make it front. But doing that is also really difficult because of the nature of the instrument. But what I know is that in the intro section, I have like this pattern, but I think it's kind of boring in my opinion. I just like put something quick there, but I want to change it. I can show you how it sounds like. I don't like this. The reason why I think that this harp part is not really working for me is that, first of all, the first section of it is entirely parallel and I'm only playing chords. I think that parts that are written completely in a parallel way are usually very boring. So basically I'm just taking a chord and I'm going down with the chord progression. And I think that it just sounds a bit boring. And I like, when I wrote this song, which was a long time ago, I was kind of just playing stuff and putting them there, but since then my writing style has changed a lot, and I like to include a little bit more melodic patterns, or I like to include a lot more kind of weird chords or notes that have some kind of tension or sevenths in what I play on the harp, because I think that it really makes the harp shine in a really cool way, and I want to be able to utilize that in the piece. So this section right there is gonna change completely. This is the beginning of the song, but this harp part, yeah, it's gonna go, and most of the harp parts along this whole song are gonna basically disappear because I just don't like what I wrote. I feel like it's a bit too simple. Probably what I'm going to be working on today. The next thing that I'm going to be working on and changing is the outro, because basically the outro is exactly the same thing as the intro, except that the harp is alone. And as I just mentioned, I find this part to be extremely boring, and what I'm going to end up doing is probably taking some of the chorus and I'm gonna put it at the end. So what I'm imagining for the outro would be to basically take the chorus and play it on the harp and voice only, so it would be something kind of like this. Will I ever find a place for me here, where my heart can finally rest in peace? Alright, so the next part that I think will need a lot of work is actually the orchestra arrangements, because What I did when I wrote this song is I basically just played the chords on the orchestra, and while it sounds okay, the lack of voice leading makes it really uninteresting to me. And also, like, the rhythm is kind of uninteresting in my opinion, so I need to basically go back and rewrite the whole orchestras because I want something that feels a little bit more organic, something that feels a little bit more like something an orchestra would actually play. And so rewriting this will be a very important part of making this song really shine. So I want to show you some of the parts that have orchestra just so you can hear. Like for a lot of you, maybe this doesn't sound as bad as I'm making it to be, but for me, I know that I can make something that sounds so much better than this, and I can really improve on this section. Alright, so it has been about a week now, and I have put a lot of work into this song. I reworked a lot of the orchestral parts. I have written a proper harp part that will still need a bit of work, but that already sounds a little bit closer to what I'm hoping to have in the end. I'm gonna show some of those changes, and I'm gonna be talking about what are the things that I will be working on next. Alright, so one of the major changes is I re-recorded the whole vocal guides, and the reason for that is I'm really picky with my vocals actually. When I'm not happy with my guide vocals, I just cannot listen to anything else in a track. So even if I know that they're not gonna end up in the final song, at least I've got something that gives me a better idea, and I can just start focusing on other things and paying attention to more of the details. On top of that, I have also written and recorded back vocals as a guide because this song didn't have back vocals yet, and I think it just makes everything come alive together. So I can show you a little bit of an excerpt of what the vocals now sound like. That I've also put a lot of work in this week are the harp parts, because at that point I only had MIDI harp because sometimes I just sit down and I compose my harp on the piano instead and I just record them because it's just a lot easier to get a nice sound. And well, not that the MIDI harps really sound good, but it's just easier to write on the piano for me sometimes, so I just had something really quick. But then I actually went ahead and took my harp and wrote a part that is actually playable on the harp and is a lot more varied than what I used to have. I did also rewrite the intro because I really hated it. I thought it sounded awful. It's just not the kind of harp parts that I like and that I think sounds nice. And so now I have a part that I think is much cooler, and I'm gonna show it to you in just a second. This harp part will still need a lot of work, but I'm really happy with the direction that it's taking. I'll still put a couple of hours this week in order to really make it a little bit more refined, but here's an excerpt of what I have so far. That's just one of the parts that I've been rewriting because I've basically written part for the entire song, but we're not gonna listen to everything. The third major thing that I've been working on is the orchestra. I have basically scrapped everything that was there. I just didn't feel like it sounded so good at all. It just didn't reflect the idea that I had for the song, and so I just decided to forget about all of it and start from the beginning. And I'm pretty happy so far with where it's going. There's still some missing parts in the song, but what I have right now is a lot more aligned to what I was thinking of when I wanted to write orchestrations for this piece, and I think it's just completing the piece instead of being something random sitting on top of it. So I'll show you a part of the intro because I think that's the part where the orchestra is the most obvious, or we hear it the most. Alright, so that's kind of how it sounds like. It was sounding a little bit better yesterday, but I did actually change some of the sounds because those sounds sound better, but they will need a little bit of tweaking so that they sound a little bit better than that, so the volumes are not exactly what I want them to be. But it does give you an idea what the arrangements kind of sounds like. On top of recording some harp parts, I also did spend a lot of time rewriting it as a sheet because I just have a much easier time remembering what I've played when it's written down somewhere. For me, sheet music is a really important part of my process, and I've tried to avoid it as much as I could because, to be honest, it's kind of annoying to have to write down the parts. If I could just live without it, I would. But I've done that for my previous cover videos, and every time I write the parts down, I am also saving so much time when it comes to the recording. Hey, it's me again. I want to show you a little bit of the work that I've been doing on the harp, because when I write harp in the beginning, what I'll be doing is I'll basically just take a pattern and I'll put it on I'll play it or whatever. But what happens is it tends to be really repetitive because if I have a verse or like a section, I will basically take like 4 measures and then like those 4 measures from here to here, and I will just repeat them. But some of the work that really helps make the music come alive is when there's some of those sections that have the same chord progression, but you basically change just a small detail in the phrase so that it actually sounds like a phrase instead of like being a section of 4 measures that you end up repeating over and over. And I think this makes a really huge difference. I'm gonna play this sheet for you. It's still in the process of being worked on, but I hope it gives you an idea what I mean. I used to have those 4 measures repeat as is, but instead I did something a little bit different at the end. Wait, where is it? I think I've been showing the wrong part all along. But basically this part used to be repeating exactly as is, those 4 measures here. But then instead, when I come here, which is the same measure as this one, I basically changed some of the stuff and it's gonna sound a lot better. So let's play it. And so on. And this section of 8 measures now will repeat, I think, 2 times in this case, but it sounds a lot less boring to have something that have those slight variations. It's maybe like the 10% top in the arrangement, like the big sections are already done, they're already kind of, I have the feel that I want for them, but I need to go into details and really decide the small details, the small variations, and then I'll probably also do like nuances, like how loud, how quiet I'm going to be playing things, and what is going to be the articulation, so that I really make it as musical as I can. But yeah, this is like a big part of the work that I'm doing right now. It's very detailed, and even though it's not super like obvious in the music, when you listen to it, I think it really does make a huge difference. I think what I've just showed you there is pretty much the biggest things that I've been working on, and going forward I will need to put a bit of work in the harp arrangement again and do some tiny detail changes. I will definitely also put a lot of work in the orchestra because I'm still not fully satisfied. Like, I like the frame that I have, so I'm not gonna go and change everything anymore. But I think that like I'll need to put a bit of work in the actual sounds, and there's still some orchestral parts that are missing that I still need to write, but I think those ones are going to be a little bit more simple because they are in choruses and in verses, so it's just there's tons of stuff going on at the same time, and so the orchestra will just do something a little bit more simple, a little bit more in the background, so that shouldn't be so much work to do on my part. Let's go back to past Elvann now. Alright, so I really hope you enjoyed watching this video because it was really fun for me to do and show you a little bit around the things that I'm working on and how I listen to music, how I hear it. And I also think it's something that artists are not sharing a lot, especially when it comes to unreleased music. I would really like to know in the comments down below if you enjoyed this content and if you want to see more of that from me. Maybe create a whole series around the production of my album and give you more of that behind the scene type of content. Also, leave a thumbs up on this video so that we let YouTube know that this video was interesting to you and that it should be pushing this video to more people. Subscribe to my channel, and if you want to hear some of my original music, make sure to go and download my original song that's gonna be in the cards right there and in the description box down below. If you wish to watch more videos from me, I will leave a playlist where I have all of my reaction videos, and I will leave one with all of my covers and original music so you can go and check this out. See you there. Bye!